once had a discussion with a parish music minister about the hymn Amazing Grace. The choir was singing an updated version that changed the line praising God's grace for saving a wretch like me. They sang, "Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved and strengthened me." The musician preferred the new version because it let us avoid having to look negatively at ourselves. I maintained that throughout my life I have done some things that have made me feel pretty wretched, and find comfort in the thought that, even so, God's grace is available to save me. The word wretch comes from an Old English word meaning outcast, and has two meanings. One meaning describes someone who is despised by others, often with good reason. The second meaning refers to someone who is miserable, as an outcast would be. The hymn was written by a man who deserved to be despised by others, and who, through the amazing grace of God, was rescued from his misery. John Newton was a slaver. He made his living transporting kidnapped men, women, and children from West Africa in floating hellholes to the Western Hemisphere, where the survivors were doomed to spend their lives as slaves on the sugar plantations of the Caribbean or in the tobacco and cotton fields of America. When he recognized what a wretch he was, God's grace gave him hope and brought about his conversion. Amazing grace is Newton's praise of God's mercy that could love even a slaver. Newton recognized his sin and did not hide from his responsibility for it. He could seek and accept God's forgiving grace. How different from Adam and Eve. Adam does not say, "Oh, what a wretch I am. Yes, I have sinned." Instead, he tries to shift the blame to Eve and even to God. "The woman whom you've put here with me, she gave me fruit from the tree, and so I ate it. She gave it to me, and you put her here, so it's not my fault, it's yours." Eve does no better at accepting responsibility. For her, it's the serpent's fault. "The serpent tricked me into it, so I ate it." From the first time we say, "it broke," as a child, right through to the end of our lives, we do not want to take responsibility for the wrong we've done. Perhaps purgatory is the state in which we find ourselves while God waits for us to call ourselves wretches at last. We don't want to admit that we are at times wretches, because the admission might make us wretched. Of course, if we do not admit our wretchedness, we will not open ourselves to allowing God to embrace us, forgive us, and welcome us into what St. Paul calls a dwelling place provided for us by God, a dwelling in the heavens, not made by hands, but to last forever. That's where my problem starts. I want to experience the love of God, but I don't want to admit that I don't deserve it. I want God to love me because I'm a good boy. So I spend my life denying my sinfulness, wrapped up in my wretched self, and refusing to accept the offer of God's love. Is that the blasphemy against the Holy Spirit of which Jesus speaks? By refusing to accept God's love on its own terms, I sin against the Holy Spirit of God, who is love. That sin cannot be forgiven because it is a refusal to be forgiven. God won't force forgiveness on us. There is no doubt about it. I am a wretch. And there's nothing I can do about it except to accept the fact and turn to the Lord on His terms. Those terms are easy. All I have to do is admit that I am a wretch and accept God's strengthening forgiveness on the terms in which it is offered: unlimited love, amazing grace.